There are a lot of unanswered questions here. We get it. Not trying to defend or blame anybody yet. But we need to understand what the police on the scene were doing and why. And I also want to know why this is taking this long to even get some really basic answers. But I'm now joined by NewsNation senior national correspondent Brian Entin, who's on the scene in Uvalde, Texas, and retired Tulsa Police Lieutenant Sean Sticks Larkin. All right, let me start with you, Brian. Is law enforcement there responding to the claims the parents have made about waiting to breach the school?
Yeah, they changed their story today and said that they did not go into the room where the barricaded suspect was for over an hour. It's the first time that they've opened up about that. And they said that basically they were waiting on a tactical crew to arrive, and the officers who were here did not go into that barricaded room, which has a lot of parents angry here. It was interesting. I asked the Department of Public Safety today, that assistant director, flat out, should the officers who were outside waiting for an hour, should they have gone inside? Did they make a mistake? And he said it's too soon to tell, and that's what they're going to investigate.
All right, Sean, why would police wait to engage a mass shooter for an hour outside of the school?
Well, there's a difference between an active shooter and somebody who is a hostage taker or they're armed and barricaded. My time on the SWAT team, I got on just after Columbine, and one of the things that obviously drastically changed in law enforcement was how we responded to these type of deals. So when you have an active shooter, police are showing up on scene, shots are still being fired. I hate to use this term, but it's a bad day to be a police officer. At that point, you have to go towards the shots fired. You have to step over victims. You can't treat people. You have to go and try to stop the threat. Now, when things change is when the shots have stopped, being fired. If he is barricaded in a room, if he is in fact negotiating with one of the law enforcement officers out of there, that does change the tactics, how you're going to, attack this thing. But what you always do want to have, at least close by, when you do have somebody barricaded like that or negotiating, you have to have a hostage rescue team ready to go in at a moment's notice.
Sean, is it unfair that it seems to me that now, more than 2 days later, that some of these very basics should be answered? Meaning, I get it, that there's going to have to be a full investigation into exactly sort of who went in, when they went in, who was the one who actually killed him. I get all of that. But shouldn't, at this point, they at least have some of these basic questions answered? Or do you think that's too aggressive?
No, I understand exactly what you're saying, but I think there's multiple law enforcement agencies that have responded to this. So I imagine that the department heads or supervisors that were on the scene, they're just trying to get all the information from, I've heard there's, 150 officers total there. And I imagine they're trying to put the timeline together to properly get it out to the public. And it changes by the press conference.
Right, But the problem is that they're giving us directly conflicting information that they gave earlier. And look, I get it. Mistakes happen, but this is a big one. To be making these kinds of mistakes, I can just imagine being one of the family members who's waiting for any information and they want to know exactly what happened. You can understand why a police spokesperson coming out and saying one thing at one moment and then another thing at another moment has got to be maddening. Brian Entin, we've heard conflicting reports also about this issue of whether there was a school resource officer who engaged with the suspect as soon as he arrived. The governor clearly said that had happened. Now it seems that there was no school resource officer there at all?
Yeah, I mean, this goes beyond conflicting reports, Dan. I mean, the story just flat out changed in the last 24 hours. As of yesterday, we were told by the officials that there was this school resource officer, that there was basically a gunfight outside the school, and that he was shooting at the shooter and that the gunman was shooting back at the officer. Okay, well, today they say, first of all, no one was shooting at at the gunman as he was going in, because there was no school resource officer here at all when the gunman arrived. So that story totally changed. And what also changed, which I found really interesting, is they said the gunman was able to just get right into the school, that the door wasn't even locked, that he was met by no one. He went through an unlocked door on the side of the building and was able to get inside that way.
Final question, Sean, about the parents there, furious that they were being detained outside, and it did seem like the same official was suggesting that police officers had actually gone into the school to rescue their own kids. That would be awful if that's the case. True?
No, absolutely. That'd be terrible. Like I said, on one of these type of deals, when you have an active shooter, whether it's a school, a grocery store, the mall, the movie theater, or something like that, any officer that shows up there, it doesn't matter if it's the patrol officer, if there in fact was a school resource officer, a detective that's driving by, your job is to go in there and stop that threat. That is your #1 mission. Just as I explained before, unfortunately, you have to step over victims. You're not able to treat wounded and things like that. That is your sole responsibility as a police officer responding to an active shooter.
All right. There are serious questions here that need to be answered, and obviously we're going to stay on this. Brian Enton, thank you. Sticks, we'll check in with you later in the show. Coming up, thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.